The reason why you can't pack in a carry-on is because you don't want to. Hi, my name is Josie. I've been packing carry-on only for over 25 years, and I'm here to show you how you can too. Welcome to my series, How to Pack a Better Carry-On. Packing light, it's not a trick or a hack. It's a mindset. It's a conscious decision you have to make. When I took my first trip to Europe in 1998, I made the conscious choice that I was going to travel for 6 weeks out of a backpack. That was the decision that I made. I made that decision to pack light. Now, I did not fully understand what that meant until I was standing in the outdoor store getting fitted for my backpack, and I saw how small it was, and I honestly did not know how I was going to fit clothing and travel essentials for 6 weeks in such a small space. So I had to confront these limiting beliefs that just because I was taking fewer clothes meant fewer options and meant that I wasn't going to look like myself. Very intentionally packed clothing that made me still feel like myself. Once I accepted the challenge of having to live out of this backpack, it didn't feel like a restriction. It almost felt like an exercise in creativity. Something shifted, and instead of feeling anxious and scared about what did I decide to do here backpacking for 6 weeks, I felt really excited and really motivated to craft what I didn't know this was a term at the time, a travel capsule for this trip. So clearly that idea has stuck with me ever since, and it's guided how I prepare and how I pack for every trip. So what packing light or packing out of a carry-on essentially entails is to be very aware of the trip that you have planned. And that's why those first few steps of answering the questions whether, where, and what are so important, because they are really going to ground what you pack and how you pack. There's lots of reasons why we overpack, I overpack, you overpack. And the biggest one that I can see is the anxiety. And the anxiety comes from the questions, what if? What if I need to do this? What if I have to do that? What if I don't have everything I need? And we solve for that by overpacking. Problem with that is you can't solve for every scenario. And what I try and teach with my travel capsule wardrobe method is that you are packing for the trip that you've planned. And that's why you are very clear on the weather, and you're clear on your itinerary, and you're clear on the culture of your destinations. And any clothing item that does not fit within those parameters does not make it into your suitcase, because we're not packing for what ifs. We're not packing for just in case. We're packing for the realities of the trip that you have planned. Trust yourself and trust whatever system that you have in place. If you're following my methods, then you're going to have your Travelista 12 travel capsule in place, and it will suit whatever you've planned for your trip. You have to remember, back to mindset, you're making this conscious choice. You're making this conscious choice to not see packing carry-on or packing lightly as a restriction. When you make this intentional decision, along with that, you have to commit. You have to commit to packing light. Just like I had to commit to that backpack. I did not want to, but I knew for the type of trip that I wanted to take, I had to. You have to decide if traveling carry-on is important enough to you to commit to it, because it does take a little bit of work, mostly planning, and you're trusting in your process. And once you trust in your process, then you have more confidence in what you've packed. So you're always going to have doubts about what you packed. And even when you're on your trip, you're going to be like, oh gosh, I should have packed that. There's no getting around that. The way we overcome this anxiety is that we really have to just trust the process, and trust that you've prepared as well as you possibly could. But once you have the clarity of your trip, that clarity is what leads to the confidence. So if you want to dive in a little deeper, check out my Substack, and I'll see you for the next installment where we talk more about the logistics of packing light.